It's no secret that the NFL has a quarterback development problem. Out of the top 5 quarterbacks drafted in each draft class over the past 3 years, only 2 out of 15 are still starters. What if I told you that the era of drafting a franchise QB might be over? We live in a time where the NFL is too hyper-focused on immediate results. And a lot of teams rush quarterbacks into playing way too early in their careers before they're actually ready. Or they give up on the quarterback way too fast. Given some recent examples, Anthony Richardson had about 10 games in the NFL of experience and about 10 games in college. So many teams give up on a quarterback before they've shown their full potential. But here's an alternative. What if the solution isn't drafting a new quarterback, but rather resurrecting one that's already in the league? Right now, head coach, offensive coordinator, their value's at an all-time high, where teams are sort of putting their quarterback in such a good position to succeed that they're often called system quarterbacks. This can maximize the quarterback's strengths and hide their weaknesses. It's a lot easier to build a team where you're paying $50 million to all the weapons and offensive linemen than a team where you're sucked $55 million into just one player. The Vikings are a great example of this. They built up a team and acquired a talented former high draft pick quarterback and put him in a good situation. Donald started his career on the Jets being picked 3rd overall in 2018. He had multiple pre-draft red flags like lazy footwork and not being able to effectively read the field. The Jets thought they could fix these problems, however his time with the Jets was just bad, or he said himself he was seeing ghosts and often threw it to the other team. He completed just 60% of his passes with the Jets and had 8,000 yards, 45 touchdowns, and 39 interceptions in 3 seasons starting for the Jets. He was then traded to the Panthers for a 2nd-round pick, and was even worse there, completing 59% of his passes for 3,000 yards, 16 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions in his 2 seasons there. Afterwards, he signed a 1-year contract with the 49ers to be a backup to Brock Purdy in a quarterback-friendly Shanahan system, where he threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception and 300 yards. While he was backing up Brock Purdy, he reportedly mentioned how being at the practices and developing in Shanahan's system changed his career, which led to the Vikings taking a 1-year flyer on Sam Darnold in the offseason after losing Kirk Cousins in free agency. While they ended up drafting J.J. McCarthy to be the future quarterback, he suffered a season-ending injury, leaving Darnold to start. Darnold has shined for the Vikings, completing 70% of his passes for 1,900 yards, 17 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions, and they are currently sitting at 6-2 and in the playoffs. Now he is added to Baker Mayfield with the Buccaneers and Geno Smith with the Seahawks as talented quarterbacks who resurrected their career in a better situation. After bouncing around early in his career, Baker found himself in Tampa Bay where he's been efficient and productive, benefiting from good coaching and a talented supporting cast. After years of being a backup, Geno Smith hit his stride with Seattle, playing in an offense tailored to his strengths, surrounded by talent, and the Seahawks' patience with him and well-designed system led him to make a Pro Bowl. Now here are the sort of qualifications that I have found that really fit most of the situations where you get the reclamation project quarterbacks to actually succeed. They have to have raw talent, but struggled in poor situations or had a rush development. They also need to have some time to reset, usually sitting on the bench and learning behind a starter. And they always join a new team with a solid coaching and a strong roster that doesn't need them to be a superhero. Instead of investing high draft capital into a rookie quarterback who might struggle and the team might give up on them too soon, teams can focus on bringing in reclamation project quarterbacks with upside, similar to what the Seahawks did with Geno Smith and Drew Lock, where they had sort of multiple of these quarterbacks just to see which one was the best. It's insane how much quarterbacks can learn by just sitting down behind a veteran backup and just learning and observing before they're eventually thrown into the fire to start again. These are some of the teams that I see as very good situations for reclamation quarterbacks in the near future. The Jets, if they can find like a stable play caller, they're set up for a quarterback to step in and succeed with their defense and just very talented offense with Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams, who's going to be pretty old at this point, but still a really good roster. I really like the Raiders as sort of a sneaky one. If they can get like a good run game and a bit better of a offensive line, the quarterback could be a very, very good situation. I mean, you got Jacoby Myers, you got Brock Bowers, who might already be like easily top 3 tight end in football. Then you got the Giants. If they can improve that offensive line, I would really like the situation because they'd have obviously the offensive line. I like Tyron Tracy as a running back, although it'd be nice if they could add like a sort of power guy to that backfield. And they have Malik Neighbors. I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I just feel like it's a decent situation. They can improve it a little bit in the offseason. And I also like the Colts. It's going to be difficult to know what they do with Anthony Richardson. He did get benched, however. He played just 10 games for them. I think he had like 100 completions in his whole NFL career. Like, there's just no reason why they should be giving up on a top 3 draft pick that early in his career. So I don't see why they'd be moving on. However, in the circumstance they did, this is a great situation. They got Josh Downs, Michael Pittman. Alec Pierce has shined a lot this season, and obviously Jonathan Taylor, and they have the best offensive line in football. Depth, starters. Their offensive line coach must be really good. And I would really appreciate it if you subscribed if you got to this point in the video. It really would help me in the channel. And here are some of the potential quarterbacks that people could target. You got Malik Willis. He's like a dual threat quarterback with raw athleticism who's shown potential. He had to sit, and with the right coaching in Green Bay, he flourished. Like, his accuracy was amazing, his decision making was really good, and he was really just a great game manager. But if you can sort of combine that with his ability to be aggressive and run the ball, he could actually be an elite quarterback. Next up, Justin Fields. He was limited by the Bears offense, but he's shown flashes, especially in the Steelers system. He was able to look like an NFL quarterback, go through his reads, sort of play the quarterback position less backyardy, if that makes sense. Their routes were a lot better, in my opinion, and he wasn't just running around in the backfield looking for a lane to shoot up and score. Next, Zach Wilson. Despite struggling with the Jets, he has a strong arm, very good athleticism. With a bit of coaching and less pressure, you can finally find consistency. I think a huge reason why he wasn't that good for the Jets was their market was just a bit too big for him. All the fans were just on him. There's just, I felt like early in his career he wasn't playing too badly, but then his confidence went away and he sort of played bad. Now with him sitting on the bench, if he could just gain that confidence, I think he could be a very good starter for somebody. Another option would be Anthony Richardson if the Colts do decide to move on. While he does need some more time to develop, he also needs to be put in and obviously get some reps. His insane athletic ability is just, he is a cannon, one of the best arms in the NFL, probably the highest ceiling of any quarterback in the NFL, obviously. His floor is just terrible, so it'd just be hard to hand him a starting job. But definitely put him in a quarterback competition and just try to develop him because his ceiling is just insane. Next up, I got Drew Lock. He's had his ups and downs in Denver, but he spent a lot of time as a backup for Seattle and learned behind Geno Smith. And his experience and potential could make him an interesting option. I think he's obviously the worst out of all these, but I could see a world. He's similar to Geno as a second-round pick who started early in his career and has just been a backup his whole career. I feel like, though, he has a similar chance to sort of break out if he gets a chance. With this quarterback draft class, in my opinion, being the weakest since the Kenny Pickett year, more teams might be looking for these reclamation quarterbacks rather than drafting a rookie. This approach saves valuable draft picks and keeps expectations manageable for the quarterback in a system that already works. This puts less pressure on young quarterbacks and more flexibility for teams. Veteran quarterbacks who've been humbled by early struggles often come back with even stronger mental approaches and willingness to fit the system. I feel like the NFL focusing on results might push more teams to pursue reclamation projects, and we might see more quarterbacks we've given up on get a second chance of life in the league. And I believe this will be the new blueprint in the NFL. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel for even more NFL content.